Hi friends, welcome. In this video, I am going to talk about tools that you are going to need for doing hand piecing. In my group down a country lane over on Facebook, we have decided to do a quilt along, and we're going to be doing a 4-patch quilt block, and then we're going to turn that quilt block into a pot holder. And so today I'm going to go through some tools that you can use in your hand quilting and hand piecing. Now you can see here that I have a cutting mat and I have an acrylic ruler, and this is a rotary cutter. And if you're new to sewing and quilting, you might not have seen these tools, or you might have seen them but don't know what they're used for, how they're used. Even if you've been sewing for a long time and you're used to using one of these, I want to remind you to be careful, because these blades are razor sharp, and I've known people to get fingers cut, really bad cuts, even cut pieces of their fingers off. So just be cautious with this. Be very careful. They do make a glove that, now I'm left-handed, and so they would make a glove that I could put on my right hand that protects me from getting cut with this. I don't have one, but you can get them. But let's move along here. Now, if you don't have these tools, you do not have to have them. They are just good to have. They are a little pricey if you're on a budget. And if you don't want to go out and buy these right away, then you can use just a good old piece of cardboard to make your template. Women for years have used cardboard and just a pencil and a ruler, just like a 12-inch, just a school ruler, to make their quilt blocks. And cut them out of your cardboard and trace your cardboard piece onto your fabric and cut that out, and there you go. The next thing you're going to need is, if you're not using the rotary cutter, you're going to need some scissors. And I would recommend getting the best pair of scissors that you can afford. These are Gingers, and these are about $30 for a pair of these. I've had these probably 17 or 18 years, and they are still sharp as I guess they were when I first got them. Just take really good care of your scissors, whatever you buy. Your fabric scissors need to be used only for fabric. Do not cut paper, cardboard, things like that with your fabric scissors, because it'll dull the blades. Now, this is a pair of scissors if you don't want to buy a more expensive pair. Fiskars makes a good scissor. A real sweet friend of mine gave these to me several years ago, and I've used them on fabrics, and there's nothing wrong with them. I really like these. The next thing you'll need is some needles, and these are sharps, and they come in a pack of different sizes, and you can do your piecing with these. You can see which size you like best. They come in a pack of different sizes. You can see here this one here in the middle is a little bit bigger than these, and so experiment and see what's out there. There are even people who use embroidery needles and all kinds of stuff to piece with. It's really not the needle so much as learning to take small stitches and get a consistent stitch throughout the piece. So there's that. And then when you get to the actual hand quilting, you're going to need some hand quilting needles, and these are the John James Big Eye quilting needles, and you can see here they're about an inch long. They're size 10, And you know, there are 8s, 10s, 12s, just, you know, different sizes. And so you can experiment and see what you like in the hand quilting, because when you're doing the hand quilting, and that is actually sewing the design onto the quilt block, I guess you could say, you're going to need something small that's going to give you the ability to learn that rocking motion. You need to go straight down through your layers of fabric and batting and straight back up and down and up, and it just, you know, the smaller needle just helps you to accomplish that. And so you don't have to start with, you know, a needle this small. You can get something a little bit bigger, you know, and try it, and you know, try a few different kinds, see what you like. Something else you're going to need is some marking tools, and got some chalk pencils here. These are just dressmaker's chalk pencils that come in different colors, and it's just a chalk. And you can mark your fabrics, and with this end, these bristles are a hard plastic, and when you mark your fabric and you want to get rid of that chalk mark after you've sewn your quilt design or your piecing or whatever you're doing, you can just rub these bristles over that fabric where you've marked with your chalk, and it just helps get rid of that. And what is left will wash away. So there are those. And then these pencils are water soluble marking pencils. And what that means is when you mark your fabric, you can take a sponge, a damp sponge, or a cloth, a damp cloth, and just rub over the marks, and it will, that should take the marks away. Something else is Mark Be Gone. This is a marker. You can use this to mark with. It is just for fabric, and this will disappear over time. In 2 or 3 days, if you mark a piece of fabric, the marks are just going to disappear. You don't have to do anything. They will just be gone. So I wouldn't recommend drawing out your actual quilt design with something like this, because if you go away from it for 3 or 4 days, you don't get to work on it, and you go back to it, all your marks are going to be gone, and you're going to have to, you know, remark it. So I would use the chalk pencil for that. And as I said, as we go through these other videos, I'll go into more detail on a lot of this stuff. I'm just doing this so that you guys can kind of gather up some tools and start getting some things together. Now, here I have, these are seam rippers, and this one is about 97 cents at Walmart. I think I bought this one for maybe 50 cents on clearance. I use this for jeans and bigger projects, but if you get into sewing, you're going to find a time that you're going to need to rip a seam loose from a project. And if you don't have one of these, you run the risk of, you know, tearing holes in your fabric. And so it's really, really handy to have one of these, and I highly recommend getting a seam ripper. You're going to need a thimble, and that just protects the end of your finger. There are different kinds, different sizes, styles. There are metal ones, leather ones. This one is a silicone. The end of it is metal here, the tip of it. And then the piece that goes around your finger is silicone, and it's really, really comfortable. And this is a really, really good thimble. It holds your needle really well. So there's that. And then you are going to need something to mark your quilt blocks with. And I'll show you a couple of different choices here. Now, I've got a couple of pieces of fabric here. And we are going to put these together. just like that. And when we machine piece, we have a presser foot that is 1/4 of an inch, so we don't need to mark seams. We can just line that foot up against the edge of our fabric, and our machine will just stitch that 1/4 of an inch. On hand piecing, you don't have anything to go by to keep a true 1/4 inch seam from the start to the finish. So I use this little ruler here, and on your ruler, this is 1 inch wide, and it's a 6-inch acrylic ruler. And you have your 1/4 of an inch mark here, your 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then of course your inch. Line this 1/4 of an inch mark up on the edge of your fabric here, and then use your pencil, just a regular old marking, just a regular pencil, to mark a line. As light as you can get away with, as long as you can see it, that's fine. It doesn't take you just need to stitch over it. I mean, that's it. So as long as you can see it, it'll be fine. Now, if you don't have this tool, or you can't find one, or you don't want to buy one or whatever, you'll need to get something to mark your 1/4 of an inch seam line. And so this is a seam gauge, and you can see this little piece here moves back and forth, and you can set this to wherever you want on this ruler. And right there is your 1/4 of an inch, and you just lay your red piece here, lays right against the edge of your fabric, and you would just put a mark here, and then just go down your fabric, marking at the end of your ruler, just like that. Okay, and then when you get that side marked, you would use a straight edge, lay it on the marks you made, and make your line all the way down. So this is a cheap option. It's $1 maybe. They're not that expensive. Now, something else you'll need, you're going to need some pins to pin your fabric to your quilt pieces together. And these are flathead pins. You see there, and I like these because they just lay flat. This one it has the round head on it. And, either one of these are fine. You don't even have to use these. You can use regular stick pins if you want to. These just, I don't know. I just like the longer pins the best. So there's that. And then we're going to talk about thread. And this is hand quilting thread. And I piece my blocks with this thread as well as I do the hand quilting, and it's just a stronger thread, and I think it just holds your quilt blocks better for the hand piecing. Now, there may be some different opinions on this. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I do. So anyway, I think that just about wraps it up for the tools that you're going to need to do your 4-patch quilt block. And so if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel here on Facebook, I would surely appreciate it. And you're welcome to go over and join in the group on Facebook, Down a Country Lane. The group is just getting started, but I'm getting some good response, and we're posting pictures of crafts and sewing projects and things to do with simple living, and I think it's going to be a really good group. So if you guys would like, just go over there and join in the fun. So till next time, you guys be blessed and happy trails.